podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello, Daniel. Did you enjoy yesterday's game? Manchester United Women 4 in the Conti Cup Group B. No, there was another game on, wasn't there, yesterday?
Which was kind of enjoyable, actually.
Yeah.
That I don't want to sound a churl, but like the whole "this is the best World Cup final ever" did make me think, like, behave.
Yeah.
Because there was not much quality of which to speak, which doesn't mean you can't have a great game of football.
Exciting, but yes, two flawed teams, I'd say, and flawed teams, and France, who only decided to play after about 80 minutes, very much in the Deschamps style of things. Yeah,
and it was. I mean, I couldn't believe that they were getting outplayed in midfield by Argentina. Who, I mean, I get that playing Di Maria did make a big difference. A really big difference. He redeemed me actually. In that, because I was doing the preview blog and I said that I thought France would have three in midfield and therefore they would control the game because Argentina had been playing 4-4-2. And then, so that was obviously what did not happen. But then when they played Di Maria, I gave myself an out and said maybe they're playing Di Maria very narrow.
Well,
he made a big difference.
It did get me thinking, actually. I mean, when we did the preview of the England-France game, I think we came to the conclusion that it would be Foden and Saka in wide areas and kind of understand game intelligence and technical quality, why that had happened. But didn't half make me think, what if we'd given Marcus Rashford more than like 5 minutes to have a go at Jules Koundé? Would that have made a difference to how England were able to play and how England were able to play? Because what Argentina did is they played with space as well. I mean, obviously, Leo Messi needs everything to feet because he can't run and doesn't run anymore.
He runs like, do you remember Orko? Do you remember Orko from He-Man?
Yes,
That's who Messi reminds me of. He like just the shape of him and the way he kind of hovers is very Orko.
But anyway, I mean, obviously, it's a kind of pointless discussion, but I do wonder, like, France was so vulnerable to the ball being played into space and Di Maria in particular that didn't half get me thinking about that. But like the whole pattern of the World Cup final surprised me, to be honest. I didn't think Argentina would start that intensely. They really did.
He was a massive missed opportunity, Di Maria. I know it's kind of fashionable to say he's weak and he's a wimp and he didn't want to be in Manchester and all the rest of it. He didn't want to be in Manchester, but he was good until Van Gaal made it impossible for him to be good on fucking purpose.
He's also a rat-faced bastard, isn't he?
When we got Di Maria, when we got him, and he was basically two players in one. He was a guy playing on the left of a midfield three. He was also playing on the left wing. He was so quick and so fit. And
well, I immediately thought when he arrived at United, like his first game, I was like, oh, he's the best player in the team. Obviously.
It was a Burnley away.
The quality was just so high.
Burnley away, and he just did a couple of nice passes through balls. And I remember, and then there was eventually, obviously, there was that Leicester game. But between then, he was playing on the left of the diamonds.
Yeah,
and that was great. And then obviously we lost that Leicester game. Van Gaal lost his balls.
Absolutely shit the bed, Van Gaal did after that.
And then it just became the most miserable football that anyone's ever seen. And he was too scared not to play Di Maria, basically, play him up front like he'd done with Robben in the World Cup when Holland were crap. And Van Gaal's defensive tactics. I mean, he got them to that semi-final. You can't say that he didn't. But I thought when he came to United, he'd realised I thought he was just being practical in the World Cup. But it turned out that he'd had some kind of negative epiphany.
Yeah, and Di Maria's never forgiven either Manchester, the City, United, the football club, or Van Gaal, the manager, ever since. I did think he might dedicate his winner's medal to Louis Van Gaal. I don't think he did.
But Di Maria was a brilliant player. And he's easily, apart from Bruno, and until this summer, easily the best player signed post-Fergie. And it was much more our fault that it didn't work than his fault that it didn't work.
I think that's undoubtedly true. And he was great against France. That direct running, it just completely changed the game. I think it surprised Deschamps. He took him a while to react to it.
Well,
I mean,
they're just a classic team who are good in spite of rather than because of their manager.
Yeah. For a while in that first half, France was so ponderous. I did wonder whether this virus, the English virus, they blamed it on England. This was England's final revenge, wasn't it? Coughing all over them, and whether that was actually impacted. But the fact that they were able to turn up the dial late into the game, when as soon as they got that goal, I mean, as soon as they got the penalty, soft penalty, but as soon as they got that and got one back, suddenly France were alive again.
Both the penalties that were given away.
You just wonder what the hell happened before that.
Both the penalties that were given away were just real, just you're watching it and you've got your head in your hands. Oh, have you just done something so stupid that you're going to regret for the rest of your life?
Otamendi's always been dumb, though, as a defender. Always been dumb.
It's so... you feel so stupid when you say it because you feel like your biases are so ingrained and obvious that when you express them as what you think is a sensible, informed opinion, you sound like a clown. But the idea that you could have Otamendi, Martinez, and Romero available to you, and you would pick two of them, and Martinez wouldn't be one.
Wouldn't be in there. I know.
Is absolutely mind-boggling. As you say, Otamendi has always been crap. And Romero has the potential, has the raw materials to be absolutely brilliant, but he's wild. At this point, he's extremely wild. And the thing that's stopping him being brilliant is the wildness. Mm-hmm. And he may or may not stop being wild. We don't know. But the idea that you'd pick those two and not Martinez, and I don't like to, as I said, I'm sure I get so much aggravation on the internet if I express that opinion.
But it's true. I mean, it's mind-boggling, and clearly we are club biased, but I can't rationalise it at all. Anyway, Scaloni's got almost everything right in this World Cup. He's managed to create... Well, eventually he did. I think they took a little while to work out that they need some of the younger players, because McAllister and Enzo Fernandez didn't start that first game.
The desperation of the British media to make out that McAllister is this fantastic midfield player because he plays for Brighton. I'm not saying
he's a classic water carrier, but he does do the running.
He doesn't. He's doing a job. He's doing a job in that team that's helping make the team work. But the idea that he's this, I felt that there was an incredible amount of enthusiasm on UK television for McAllister during this competition that was beyond his contribution. But
Enzo Fernandez, on the other hand, is a brilliant player.
He does look a player.
He's going to be really good, and he's going to go for some mega money.
He's
somewhere.
one of those guys who looks like he's gone into the tattoo shop and said, "Hi, please, can I have some tattoos?" rather than it's just extremely haphazard. But he is a good player, and he's apparently someone else who Uncle Ralph wanted to buy.
Interesting. Uncle Ralph had some good ideas, sometimes not applied very well at any point. So
some of the worst shit that's ever been served up in the history of association football was served up by him, which I don't massively blame him for, and yet how can you not blame him massively?
Incredible dysfunction. Just amazing that a club would do that to itself. As Cristiano Ronaldo said, now unattached Cristiano Ronaldo appears to be unattached to club or country at the moment. He's not even a coach, which is about right. Although he's currently the manager of Austria.
I tell you what I enjoyed about the World Cup final was the photo of Martinez and Varane at the end. Yeah. Where I feel like Martinez is you better get fucking back to Manchester. Don't be leaving me with Maguire and Lindelof.
I mean, the reinvention of Maguire. I know we're talking about the World Cup, but hey, let's divert for a while. The reinvention of Maguire has been fun to watch, and this kind of idea. And I'm being unfair in kind of summarising their narrative, but somehow it's like Manchester United are too dumb to understand what they have with Maguire. Look at how good he was for England. Surely he can now bring that back to United. And Eric Ten Hag said something similar. I hope he brings back his confidence. I mean, I think he was a bit more nuanced. But the problem is, I don't think you can square the circle. International football is completely different from club football. It's diverged over the last 10 years particularly. And England and the way England play is completely different to the way Eric Ten Hag wants to play.
In
And I just don't
fairness-
think those two things map together very well.
Yeah, I'd say in fairness, the way that Southgate was playing this time, like if I was an England fan, I would have been quite happy to have seen Southgate go after the Euros, because I felt that watching it, that he was quite a lot of the reason why they didn't beat Italy and why they were crap basically in almost all the games when they didn't need to be. I thought that was a lot to do with him. But I felt the reason why I would say now, I think it's fair enough that he stays, is because I thought there's some quite significant steps forward in this competition. This was the first.
But the biggest
time,
one was Bellingham, which allowed England to play differently in midfield.
Yeah, which allowed them to try and dominate games against good teams, and they haven't even really tried to do that before. And losing 2-1 to France when your captain twats penalty over the bar with less than 10 minutes to go, that doesn't seem... I wouldn't watch that and say that was massively your manager's fault, just on the facts of it. You could obviously say he could have gone earlier with the subs, and you said it just before, bringing it back to that. He should have brought Rashford on, I agree. I can see why he acted later than Deschamps, because Deschamps had to act because England were better in the game. And you could say that a good manager feels the game, so he acts. But I didn't feel that like if you're on top, you don't need to change stuff. He shouldn't have taken Saka off. That was a mistake. And you brought Rashford on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess since we're at the conclusion of the World Cup, I find it hard to get out of my own biases about Southgate. I have a view of what I think he is as a manager and how he behaves, and most of the time he reinforces that. And like for sure, I think you're right. England were more attacking in this tournament than they have been at any other time. And most of that is down to Bellingham being in the side and being just more progressive with the ball, mostly running, but some of the passing as well.
It's important because if you want to play like a pivot, like a single bloke in front of the back four, and then two ahead of him, they need to be athletes. Really, his ability to do that means that you can then you can have him and Rice, who are just both absolutely monstrous, colossal athletes.
Yeah, well, that's right. And then the other thing that I can't let go of yet is Southgate's ability to influence games during games. And I think time and time again, and especially in the big games, he has lost out to managers who are able to do that. And bringing it back to the World Cup final, I mean, Deschamps seems to be cut from the same cloth most of the time. He's very, very cautious as a manager. He's obviously fantastically successful, sort of World Cup winner, World Cup finalist.
They should have won.
The
They made an absolute balls up. Like this, they're not necessarily the best team at the World Cup. They made a massive balls up in the Euros. They should still have been the best team around. They should have won. They should
have been. But one thing he does do is react during games. And
oh my gosh, taking off Giroud and Dembele like that was extremely funny.
Brutal.
Oh my gosh.
It was very funny and absolutely brutal.
Because also, what did he expect to change either way? So I could see why you'd make a change at 35 minutes, but it didn't look like anything was going to happen.
And it still took a while. But what he did have was then playing central areas and two just really quick runners, and so they changed completely the pattern of how they were trying. They almost matched up to what Argentina.
Yeah, it was just odd that he did it. He did it with like 41 minutes gone or something.
I know.
He made
odd timing. Yeah,
that felt like you could have waited to half time and not massively shaved them. Have they pissed you off in some way? It's because to want to do that, it just didn't seem like it was going to have an impact on the game. Doing it at 41 or whatever it was, not 45.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun watching as a neutral. So I probably
did you want Messi to win or lose?
Kind of. I think on balance, I wanted Messi to win. I mean, it's not like he needs more stuff or he needs this in order to confirm his status as being one of the greats of the game or anything like that. I don't think that argument holds much water. But yeah, on balance, I preferred Argentina to win than France. And Messi, at least he's like, not to make the horrible comparison that everyone makes, of course, with Cristiano Ronaldo, but he just doesn't seem like a massive twat, which is like a big benefit.
He's quite involved with Saudi.
That is
in a way
different.
That
I mean, personality-wise.
In a way that might make you say that.
He's taken $125 million.
Well, Messi's an interesting
Saudi
character in that
partner. Yeah,
he's an interesting character because he seems so uninteresting. I don't feel a way about Messi at all. He's a brilliant footballer, and in terms of longevity, like sustained over and over again without any break, longevity of brilliant performances. He's miles ahead of anyone who's ever played the game, as far as definitely in my lifetime and probably ever. I mean, Di Stefano, I didn't see Di Stefano, but maybe him. But the constant numbers, and then you, before you even factor in where the numbers come from, the ridiculous shit that he does in order to get those numbers. Yeah, he's miles ahead of anyone. But I watched some highlights of Maradona Mexico '86 the other day.
Yeah.
And you could not make that kind of compilation for Messi here, for example. Messi,
no, for sure. Yeah.
And this is obviously old Messi. Of course, he's not as good as peak Maradona. But Maradona at the '86 World Cup feels like the best that anyone has ever played football.
Individual performance
in my
over
lifetime.
A tournament. Yeah. No, I think that's right. And that's the impression
not just in a tournament. Not just in a tournament. The highest level of football that has ever been played. And watching it just as a 43-year-old, I actually found it more wow than I did when I was 7. Because when I was 7, that was Maradona was the only best player in the world that I'd ever known. So I just thought that the way Maradona played was the way the best player in the world is able to play sometimes. And I was probably in my 20s, like an original Ronaldo, when I realised that this was never going to happen again. Like someone who could get the ball in a World Cup quarter-final or semi-final and run around everyone on the other team. Like he's in the playground. But only Maradona's done that. And
ever done that to that. Yeah. Well, and in this World Cup, Messi has taken a lot of the plaudits, of course, but his involvement in the game is almost non-existent. I saw some stats, which was kind of funny, that he's the highest walker at the tournament. So he's the top of the stats for walking. So I think he walked 7.1 kilometers during the World Cup final, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So he just doesn't do anything until the ball's at his feet, and he doesn't play with space anymore. And the reason he had to beat Guardiola 3 times was because he didn't have the pace to get around him, and so he had to use the balance.
Right, but he did
still
what
got the
he
balance,
needed to do.
He doesn't have the pace. Yeah.
That's it. He did what he needed to do when he needed to do it in this World Cup, and that it was just enough. It was just
enough. Yeah,
it was just enough. And I mean, you can't. I mean, I was actually quite ambivalent about whether he won it or not. I didn't want France to win it again, because for a team to do that, they should have to be as good as Spain were when they won 3 tournaments in a row.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't particularly enjoy watching Spain, you can't compare. Like that Spain team would absolutely annihilate this France team almost every time they played, because that's how much better they are than them. And also just the hardest ever international team to beat.
Yeah.
Because you just can't get the ball. But so I
agree.
France
There's too many flaws in this France team.
It just didn't seem right that they would win 2 tournaments in a row. Deschamps would win two tournaments in a row.
Right. Exactly that as well. I feel
also,
like
the more often the World Cup can go out of Europe, probably the better as well in general.
That's a good break into talking about like the legacy of this World Cup, I guess, because I mean, unless you've got more to say about the game, but I don't know. I feel like that's been covered on every other podcast I've listened to since the game.
What do you mean? I've prepared some points.
You prepared detailed notes on the game. Yeah. I did not. I was disappointed Lisandro Martinez didn't get on the field. I mean,
I don't have much more to say about this game either. Yeah, but exactly that is baffling that he didn't get on the pitch. But I guess, I mean, the idea now that these people, you've either won a World Cup or you've lost a World Cup, and see you for Forest at home on the 27th of December. To go back to bonkers, the height of an English winter, you can't go out for a month after you win the World Cup is disgraceful. It's makes me feel quite. I find it quite anger inducing. The party that they've been denied, that isn't happening in the world, that would make the world a better place, is not happening, because they'll get to go back to Buenos Aires presumably. So he won't play that first game, and then he'll probably have to play won't play Burnley, obviously, won't play Forest.
I don't think we'll see him this year.
Do you think?
I mean, the guys who got knocked out in the quarterfinals. So when was that? 10 days ago.
They all got a week off, didn't they?
They're coming back to training today, Monday the 19th.
I thought everyone got a week off.
Ericsson was back before.
Bruno was. I thought I read that Bruno was back last week.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I thought they were all coming back today.
I reckon that I thought I was expecting to see almost a full strength team against Burnley. because it's only Varane and Martinez.
If I was calling it, I'd say it'd be a surprise if it was.
I thought that everyone else was available and has been in training since last week, so they would have a week training. But I mean, it's one of those rare occasions actually where a home draw against the team in the division below is probably the kind of draw that you want.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I agree with you on like how brutal this is for many reasons, obviously.
I mean, brutal. I mean, there are more brutal things than that this World Cup has to answer
I use the right words here, but yes, it is unfair on the winners that they will have to go back to their club football very shortly. I mean, for sure that's unfair, and they should be able to laud it wherever the hell they want to hang out for the next 6 weeks or so and then go back to football. But yeah, it's not going to happen. I mean, the European club season pretty much starts again straight away. They get a bit of time in Germany. I think they don't start until the new year. But it is unfair. But, like I know we covered it on every pod that we've talked about, but I do think thinking about the legacy of Qatar is worthwhile. And I've changed, as the tournament's gone on, my opinion has changed. Not on how wrong it is for the World Cup to have been in Qatar because of the human rights abuses, because of the dead migrant workers, because of the whataboutism that FIFA and Qatar have very well played, or any of that kind of stuff, and we've talked about that a lot. But I do think, as you mentioned there, it being in the Middle East with better access for people coming from Morocco and Tunisia and supporting other Asian teams, that has been a very different flavour, and it is a World Cup, and it should be around
it's massively
world, right?
It's massively world, and 100%.
Yeah.
Like, there were really good aspects of the fact that it was where it was.
I just wish it had been in a country that didn't have thousands of dead workers as a result.
The problem is, it is exactly that. You want the World Cup to be in as many different places as possible, bringing accessible to as many people around the world, because you're seeing it with the Olympics as well, that they become such massive events that hardly anywhere really has got the infrastructure to stage them anymore. And what's going to happen is it's just going to keep being in the same places, and you don't really want that. You want there's a question about whether it's good to take the game somewhere that the game isn't, to try and evangelize, but there is also something about, you have the World Cup in a more traditional football country, and that's better.
That argument has been made, of course, about evangelizing it. I don't know that that's actually
I'm thinking about
true,
the 94 World Cup relative to 1990. Like, there was, just even watching it at home, there was a massive difference in the intensity of it all, because it was in Italy, not in USA. But
and I don't know that the 94 World Cup really did much to. I mean, nearly 30 years later, is football that important in America? I mean, I'm here watching the coverage as Argentina won. They cut off coverage on Fox to go to a regular season NFL game.
I was in Mexico for the final of Euro 2000, and it was the election day, and we were in a bar, and I was watching the thing, and they wouldn't serve any booze because they don't serve booze on election day in Mexico, because there was history of people getting excited. So we're in the pub, we can't drink, and we're watching the final of Euro 2000, and then it gets to extra time and the TV cuts out because they're announcing the election results, and the law is that everywhere on television has to show them announcing the election results at that time. So that is, don't stage your elections if you happen to think that there might be the final of a football tournament on another continent that a couple of people might want to watch in your bar. That is the moral of that story.
One thing I would say about, I mean, the US coverage has been horrendous. It's a paid advert for Qatar with all these slick adverts in between at halftime and before games. Horrendous commentary and punditry. It's just like shockingly bad overall. And if you want to look at a case study in sports washing, that's it. Right, they paid for a month-long advert on the largest channel.
Yeah.
What they did get is huge numbers of people watching. So if you add Fox plus Telemundo, which is Spanish coverage, which was much better. I barely understand a word of it, but I can just kind of instinctively tell it's got proper pundits and stuff on it. They're getting more than 40 million people watching some of these games. So, that's a mark of the sort of penetration that it has made into an expansion market,
I guess,
if you want to call it that. So
yeah, anecdotally, I guess I see it, just the things that I follow on Twitter, like whether it's Slate or the New Yorker or the Atlantic, and they've got people writing stuff about football there. And the fact that if those places are publishing football, then that tells there seems
more
to
cultural
be
resonance.
there seems to be. It's probably not necessarily as big. It's not like a cultural thing, because there are just so many other sports that are ahead of it in terms of big kind of national culture. But there are a hell of a lot of people that like football and follow English football and Spanish football and all the rest of it in America, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, the World Cup will be here in Mexico and Canada in 4 years' time. It's going to be a very different World Cup. I end up having this debate with people on the internet, which is never the best place for nuanced debates about geopolitics, but there's a different reason why it's going to end up here. But I wonder whether the coverage will take not a similar tone, but an equally sort of critical tone of US foreign policy, Mexican homophobia. Can't think of anything bad to say about Canada. They're just all nice, aren't they? As some media coverage has done about Qatar, and it's really only English and European media, because there's not been a lot of criticism of Qatar as a country here in the US media. I wonder whether we'll get a more intelligent view of the world of football and geopolitics now, or whether we'll revert to type.
I don't think there'll be much forensic
time.
Assessment of US politics. I'd be quite surprised if that happened. I'd be extremely surprised if that happens.
And one of the reasons is, of course, it's not an autocracy that is using this to wash its reputation. This would be about money in the US. I mean, it's just a transactional economy.
It's a different kind of immorality, or whatever you want to say, whatever you like. Like, there are different types of discrimination that go on in the US, and
very much so. Yeah.
I mean, it's just so hard. We're not going to write an essay about this and start putting the things out. But yeah, like it. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. No, but it's all, I mean, it factors into what is the World Cup and why does it happen and what is it used for? And over the past month, we've seen, I think, the Qataris get most of what they wanted. Right now, a lot of critical coverage to start with. I don't think that's been sustained, and I think the images and the matchups that FIFA and Qatar really wanted happened, and they'll come out of this having had Messi quote unquote the best World Cup ever in these fabulous shiny stadiums. So much of what they wanted to achieve,
I mean,
either geopolitically or in media, it worked. Right.
Well, we said from the beginning, football almost always wins. That's why. Yeah. That's why they're betting on football, because football does this.
Right.
And it went well. Like, for them, they got Messi getting his moment in front of everyone in a final that was a classic in terms of excitement, and that you could definitely legitimately call a classic. And people would say, it was like they got the great happenings that they wanted. Infantino saying it was the greatest group stages ever. And I guess the last round of group matches was really dramatic. Again, like, there wasn't a lot. It wasn't the standard of the play wasn't great in all of them, but they got and that's the thing that football is it's this kind of semi-manufactured drama now. Where there's almost, and it still manages to subvert that drama. And that's why it's amazing. And that's why, right. And that's why bad people are investing in football. Some bad people, as you say, you mentioned the American World Cup will be more about money and corporations, and that's more the American interest in football in general.
Yep. Oh no, for sure. And connecting the two thoughts of expanding the world's game through the World Cup beyond 2030 hasn't been voted on yet, and it'll be interesting what happens next, because there aren't too many more expansion countries. I mean, it's not going to go to China or India, who would be the big expansion markets. So I think it seems to be the real question: like, do the Saudis how confident are they feeling about their place in the world, and do they want that World Cup? Because there's been some talk about that.
It would
or
be
would
very
it go
hard
to a
for
joint bid between Argentina, Paraguay, and Peru? I think it is. I can't remember.
Well, that is
definitely Argentina.
Messi's conflicted.
Yeah.
Messi's
very much
basically
so,
very
yeah.
conflicted there now. But
conflicted. He's paid by the Qataris, the Saudis, and he's the national icon for Argentina. So,
I guess we don't exactly know what the purpose of Qatar doing the World Cup is for them. As in, we call it sports washing. I don't know if that's what. To me, it feels like more of a play for more financial power and control power play.
I think it's geopolitics. I think it's understanding that they are so in Saudi Arabia, there is apparently, I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert on Middle Eastern politics, but there is apparently a kind of common joke about the Qataris that they are what was it? I was reading it. They're a fart, right? They emit gas, and it's a kind of joke about they dismiss them, right? And the history of Qatar is it's only 70 years since independence, and it's really only 40 years since natural gas and oil wells were tapped and the country has become extremely rich, right? So a lot of this is about their place in the world and feeling secure, and also to say, hey, we are here. Look at us. We're important. And you see all the world leaders over there as part of this World Cup. And so that's the soft power. There's the real power in making sure that the Saudis don't walk into Doha, right? Which they could do at any point. I'm
saying it's much
more... And
then
there's the business and commercial thing.
So I'm saying it seems much more those two things than because we serve you good football, you're forgetting about the human rights abuses. I don't actually think that's the case. I think it might even be the case that more people know about them as a consequence. It just doesn't matter because their position in the world is stronger and their connections and their alliances are stronger.
Right.
And their reputations are stronger as people don't mess about. And that probably...
Right, I'm sure, because the pure sports washing, burnishing a poor reputation would have been helped if they'd let people have an armband, because they'd have gone, well, who cares, right? A rainbow armband. Who cares? We want to show we're inclusive and part of this world, or let people have some beer, right? So in the end, the Qataris decided that their power, absolute power over FIFA, and this is the first time FIFA has ever been controlled, I think, by a host country, was more important, right? But that side of things has worked for them, and we'll see what happens with future World Cups after 26. We know 2030, the romantic one in South America, or the money. And we know where FIFA has normally decided on this thing, and it's not an open vote. It's the Exco, or whatever they call it these days, that decides, and it's open to deep abuse, as we know.
I mean, it does. Maybe, I mean, when do they decide this?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think the campaigns are really only just ramping up now. So it may be, although they have to give them enough time to build this stuff, don't they? Because Qatar had 12 years, Russia had 8. So, and we're getting into 23. So maybe it's next year or the year after. It's got to be soon though, hasn't it?
Yeah. But I'm sure that the people behind the World Cup are delighted with how it went.
Yeah.
And that is
I'm
annoying.
absolutely,
and that is
absolutely
annoying, but that's football.
Yeah. Well, it cost the Qataris 220 odd billion to stage this, and it's made FIFA a bonus profit. So everyone's delighted for sure.
Yeah, good. That's great.
Makes us all feel good about it, doesn't it? If you like the show, the way you can support us best is by leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And it really doesn't matter what you say in that review either. You can say you'd rather we talked about Manchester City and Liverpool. Just hit those 5 stars. Many thanks. We got Burnley and then Forest. Going back to the real world. It's insane, isn't it?
Yes, but I'm so ready for it. It's a funny thing actually, because I'm in this position. I'm going away, and I had previously thought that we were flying during the Burnley game, but we're not. And I can't decide if I'm pleased that I'm going to get to see the game on holiday, and that on the first night of holiday I'm going to have how do I at what point do I let it be known?
Announce that no, you would not like to go out to dinner. You're quite looking forward to Burnley in the EFL Cup.
There's a stretch of evening that is kind of spoken for already. And so would I have preferred it if the game was while I was flying to avoid that inevitable situation? I don't know, but yeah, I can't wait to watch United play again.
I have no idea what the team's going to be. I guess it depends on how many days training everyone's had. I'd be really surprised if too many of the World Cup players were involved, but I could be totally wrong about that.
The idea that we could lose a cup quarter final to Vincent Kompany's Burnley actually that's at Old Trafford. Like, that's totally unacceptable, and so they had better make sure that doesn't happen. Is all I can say. No.
Yeah, I think there's going to be quite a lot of undercooked players, no matter what the makeup is, because they had those 2 pointless friendlies where they just changed everyone to play 20-odd players in each game.
The players that didn't go.
A lot of kids. So
then, because I said earlier, I'm going to contradict myself already, perhaps, that maybe you actually want a team that has had even more players than you at the World Cup. Maybe that is the ideal. Rather than a team in the division below. I don't know, but yeah, the players that haven't been to the World Cup are going to need some football very quickly. So it's actually quite helpful to have this game. But
that's right. I mean, I Dave will play. I imagine. I imagine we'll see Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We're going to see Victor Lindelof. I don't know who's going to play alongside.
I don't know. I was expecting to see the players whose teams got into the quarterfinals as well.
We'll see.
Because I thought they came back. I thought they had the quarterfinals were 2 weekends ago, right?
Yeah. Like 9 days or something like that.
Yeah. So they had a week off and then they came back, so they'd have a week's training before this game. So but because also if some of them they're just going to want to play, aren't they? At this point, like the ones that are match fit. Why am I if Bruno's come back to Manchester and he's been in Manchester since last week? I can't believe he's not playing in this game.
Yeah, well, no, I know. And it's not like a normal World Cup where you then go off on holiday after a long season. They are less than halfway through the season. So it's not as if they need some mega rest. I don't know what the emotional toll is. Are players able to switch out of one mode of thinking into another? Can they really be up for Burnley at home in the EFL Cup in the same way they were for a World Cup quarter-final?
I'd say some of them are probably quite pissed off, though, because it didn't go how they wanted. And then I imagine that in that situation, you want to get back on the pitch as soon as possible.
Yep.
Especially if you're fit, and as you say, it's not at the end of the season. I would imagine
Rafa Varane back on his horse straight away.
He might not want to. He might fancy. I don't know, because that must be a very significant disappointment for someone who is not fit that often. I don't know, but I would imagine Bruno and Rashford probably just want to get on the pitch because otherwise they're just pissed off with the thing that they've got to be pissed off about. So something new to focus on for those kind of. I don't know. Yeah, people that are winners. I think hard to get in that mindset of just give me the next thing rather than let me just never do anything ever again.
And then the upcoming Premier League games, Forest and Wolves, I mean, they're pretty important. I mean, it's not like United can switch off and these are somehow warm-up games. We're back into the middle of the season and every point really counts. Got to chase down the mighty Saudi Magpies.
It didn't come at a good time for us, the break, particularly. We were playing quite well. We didn't need any particular disturbance. Martial was coming back. He's now got some... He must be about due an injury. But yeah, it was because the team was starting to look good and play some good football, and now they've just got to start all that again. But I think we'll finish in the top four. I don't want them to buy the wrong striker in January, but this kind of... Surely then, you think they can't buy anyone because they are getting sold, or are they so confident they're selling it for a load of money they don't mind spending some now? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's a very good question. I mean, it's not cash that they can actually take out either. I mean, there isn't any cash in the bank, so if United buy anyone, it'll be on the tick, basically, as most transfers are anyway. But
they're now whatever they were paying Ronaldo is now available.
It's now available, yeah. The cash to actually spend on a striker doesn't exist, but then it didn't exist in the summer either. We now know that they spent it all on a credit card. the football equivalent of,
And in that situation, if they were to just say, here's a striker, what would it, doesn't feel like it would make very much difference. But, I mean, obviously the assumption is that United won't buy anyone.
Yeah, or it'll be a short-term Odion Ighalo type loan deal. And I couldn't even pick a name for whether that'd be, and I don't even know if that'd be useful. I mean, I don't think it would be unless Martial goes down injured again, which I guess
I don't think it's that.
Quite
it's
possible.
That they're at the point now. So when they got Cavani came into a team that was almost there. He was just another option. But Ole's team was like, the front three was kind of there. Didn't work out, but this team, it feels like I don't want them to go and get a stopgap because I want them to find the right bloke to play centre forward for the next few years, and getting someone else in the way is actually annoying. That kind of Ighalo Cavani signing is what is good to have when you're sort of already there, but otherwise you don't want your best striker to be the wrong person. United's best striker next season needs to be the bloke that's going to be playing centre forward, and I don't want them to bust unnecessary money that we can't then spend on, because next summer, the first thing I would do is I would spend whatever it took to get the right forward. And if there's nothing else left, there's nothing else left. Despite the fact that maybe I want a goalkeeper, maybe I want another midfield player. Like, you have to just get whoever the right striker is has to be got next summer.
Talking of goalkeepers, there's fairly predictable links with Emil Martinez coming out in some of the press this morning. I mean, I have to say, I didn't very much like his antics when he put Bruno off that time when he was suggesting that Ronaldo should take the penalty. I
can't decide what I think of him.
I mean, it was peak shithousery this time round. I mean, when he got the ball off Tchouameni and threw it away, I mean, just brilliant. And you could see it in Tchouameni's face as well. Actually,
what that team needed is Jordan Henderson, who the internet tells me is the world's leading elite and most winningest penalty spot enforcer in the history.
That's right.
Of the
As
game.
he's rolling the team now, stand on the spot.
There follows a 733 tweet picture exposition.
So you can't do that in a shootout. So you can't protect it. So. And the image of Martinez fucking his golden hand or thrusting with it.
I mean, he just.
While the MEL stared on.
He's just one of those, one of those keepers you just know be good at saving penalties. Dodgy keepers in general, like Grobbelaar, Dudek, because if they weren't good at that kind of thing, they wouldn't be goalkeepers because they're not reliable. But there's those kind of goalkeepers that are just good at doing. I mean, the save Martinez made in the second half
at the end from
was a brilliant save, and I mean you can't take it away from him. You save penalties.
The freeze frame of just the two of them is incredible when you think it's like 10 seconds before the end of the game.
So with Martinez, it's not. I don't care about the antics in like the penalty shootout. If you can get away with that and the other person can get an advantage, I mean, I wouldn't judge someone for that. It seems like it's more. I'm asking myself questions about his general demeanour of like if we ever happen to be in the same place. What would you like to be around? Well, it's more that, and I can't decide if he'd be amusing or not. But as a character in a game of football, he's tremendous.
Oh, it's great box office. Yeah, great entertainment. Anyway, back to the transfers thing. I think by next summer, United will have been sold. I mean, unless there isn't interest, I think the club have decided, or the Glazer family have decided, they are going to sell. Avram Grant was at the World Cup, sounding out potential partners, I imagine.
Avram Grant? Or
Avram Grant? Avram Glazer.
Avram Glazer, they're all the same.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if Avram Grant turned out to be a broker of some kind. No, so like he was outside trying to sound out whatever billionaire or sheikh he can find to part with £6 or £7 billion. And so I think United will end up being sold in the first quarter of 23. And so the new owners will have that summer to make a big splash. So I imagine United will spend quite a lot of money next summer. It's just guessing.
Yeah, I mean, that does sound feasible, that whoever it is surely not. I mean, who knows that they might just come in and not spend money, but it's just hard to see how you're getting anything out of your investment without assuming there's no Super League, which there isn't.
Yeah, which there won't be now because we haven't had the final ruling, but the guidance is basically that UEFA have autonomy over their own competitions. So we're not going to get Super League. There is no growth path there.
So you have to make the team better.
So you have to make the team better because that'll increase your sponsorship exposure, and no one coming in can have a look at what's happened to United over the last 15 years under the Glazers and go, yeah, we're going to get asset appreciation by penny pinching and deciding not to upgrade the swimming pool or getting a second-rate chef. So anyway, I think connect the dots. We'll get some large amounts of spending next summer. Whether it will be good spending or not, we'll find out.
Yeah, It seems like Ten Hag has done a pretty decent job this summer in buying players who are good, who have also improved the team and seen that they can fit in a team that has all of the minutes. And I mean, you could argue that it didn't require that much skill to take the two best players from Ajax and Casemiro, but
yes,
he got it done, and it seems to be working quite nicely. So I'm sure that there are 2 or 3 other really good players out there who Ten Hag knows for sure are really good, who would come and play for United probably. But obviously we're meant to have this whole operation that is meant to also do that.
Yeah.
But that's really not what happened last summer.
The transfer window opens in 11 days' time, so we'll get to see what happens then. That's going to be fun, isn't it? All right, I guess that's it. World Cup done. Burnley on Wednesday. Top stuff. Nice.
Please.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.